kid, it kind of was. I was berated like my sister until later in my teens, so most of the time I just enjoyed myself and played whatever video game I could get my hands on, and it was great at the time. I'm not quite sure how my mother paid our bills after my father left. I'd assume it was savings and my grandparents helping out, as they've always had their shit together while my mother didn't. Eventually, and this is where shit started to get bad for me and my mother, got involved with a man I'll call Michael, who was a trucker and a biker. He moved us out of the house I'd known all of my life up to that point and moved us into a shitty trailer park, holla, in a double wide, not holla, I'm a single wide, with his asshole family. This man was straight up borderline psychotic and sadistic. His family was not much better. Being sheltered by my mother for the first half of my life led him to find as many things as possible to berate me for. Him and his asshole family would frequently emasculate me by calling me gay. He once called me a pussy for requesting a band-aid after I completely fucking destroyed my knees in a biking accident. He would find many excuses to punish me, and he loved spanking me. Sounds like he might have been the gay one, you know what I'm saying? Spanking me, which he never did for his own child. Eventually, the only somewhat good thing he did was for me was put me in school, except I was dropped right in the middle. I started school in 5th grade with no former knowledge of any class. I had to learn how to write and spell, and I never quite grasped math and still don't to this day. I got an F on every report card and nobody would understand why, and I wasn't able to tell anyone because it'd make my mother look bad. I was alone and in an environment I didn't understand, and of course, Michael would ridicule me for this and restricted me from ever playing video games because he knew how much I enjoyed them. I would later find out he manipulated my already mentally ill mom into staying with him with threats of violence. He'd threatened to have me and my mother beaten by his biker buddies constantly. Another huge regret I have is in this time I got my sister kicked out because I was a little shithead and was mad at her for something trivial. She went to live with my dad and became a meth head. I think she is doing better these days. I don't have much contact with her. I hope she is okay now. Eventually, my mom met another man I'll call Richard and finally got us away from Michael. I stayed in school until 7th grade and stopped going after I went to the hospital and was diagnosed with a disease I won't name, but didn't stop me from going to school. My mother once again allowed a 13-year-old me to make this choice, and I once again suffer from it. After that, things eventually went bad, and she would yell at me and humiliate me just like she would do to my sister when I was young. She'd use me as a punching bag to vent out her anger towards my stepfather and other things in her life. If she got mad at me when we were driving somewhere, she would threaten murder-suicide by slamming us into a tree. She has threatened me so much that I can barely relate to anybody my age, and I have heavy anxiety from everything her and everyone else that was older in my life put me through. She eventually started being nicer, but it's too late. I can't look at her without remembering everything she has done and everything she has let happen. I have no education, and she is always too busy or always has an excuse for not helping me get my life together. I am lucky I have had great online friends this entire time because I have no friends in real life, and most days I feel completely isolated. My grandfather was one of the only people I felt like I could count on most of my life and treated me better than everyone else when I would visit him. He recently passed away a few months ago, and these past few months have been the worst of my life. My anxiety has increased, my depression is very bad, and I've become so very aware of how fucked I am. I have no life, no education, and no friends. I have never had an IRL friend that has stuck by me and have never had a girlfriend, both of which plays into my anxiety and makes me think that even if I get out of this shitty hick town and make a life of myself, it will be too late by the time my parents make the time for me and stop making excuses. Regardless, thank you for reading my story, and I hope I am chosen for the stream. I am constantly miserable, and I could use someone paying attention to my story right now. Keckmaster says, man, fuck Penny Fleck. I agree.
They've been spamming that the whole time.
Penny Fleck was the true villain of the Joker movie, I'll tell you what. Well, it will take a while, but power through this and end your family's cycle of awful parenting. Be a good person, pick up a trade, and make something of yourself. You can do this. Biggs, you work with a bunch of people who probably aren't super educated. Is it safe to say a person who doesn't have great formal education can still pick up a trade and live a good life?
Yeah, I mean, there's one guy that I work with who didn't go to college or anything. I think he might have went into the Army, though, so he might have done some schooling there, but...
Going into the Army?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a horrible idea. I mean,
but
unless you're afraid of guns or something, but it teaches discipline and life skills and camaraderie, and you'll be part of a family instantaneously.
Yeah.
All the exercise will help with your depression.
You get a lot of respect from the general public for the most part.
Yeah, you get to shoot brown kids over in Iraq. That's pretty fun.
But anyways, once he got out of the Army, he went into diesel mechanics, and he's been there for 40 years.
Shit.
And he's probably making like $30+ an hour. So it's definitely doable.
There's no racial segregation in the Army, though. Why is that important, Miko? Army is actually a good idea. It helped a lot of my friends. What if World War III happens? If that happens, then we're all fucked. And it sounds like he'll be getting a payday. Happy Joker Day. What, 11/11? Is that our advice for Sad Boy? Join the Army. And if you do end up having kids, you'll know exactly what not to do. Just be the opposite of whatever your parents were, and you'll be the greatest father of all time. Yeah, but something that I think a bitter pill everybody has to swallow is that in real life is not like a movie or like a book or like any fictional world where there's always going to be justice and a happy ending and the people who hurt you get punished. In reality, you have to accept that there will never be any justice. People who ruined your life will almost always get away with it scot-free, and all you can do is power through it and dedicate yourself to being better than them. And the only justice you get in reality is to live a good life and be happy despite what the people who want to hurt you try to do. That's the best revenge you can get, is being happy and successful in spite of the people who tried to ruin you.
Yeah, big thing, especially like when I was growing up, we were pretty poor, so most of what we did was like watching TV and like movies and stuff. So I grew up with this idea that at one point in my life, it would be like the driving off into the sunset, happy, you know.
That's you every time you drive to my house.
Well, yeah, but besides that.
Okay.
And then like as I got older, it like started to come down, like just crushing down on me, like this is never gonna happen. You have to make that happen somehow. And there's still a possibility it won't happen. I don't know. You just gotta work towards it every day if you want it.
And if you want to get that like driving off into the sunset moment, your life is never going to have a paradigm shift that big. Try to be happy on a small individual basis every single day, and then you're not going to have a magical moment where everything suddenly becomes sunshine and rainbows.
It's not like where you hit a climax of a movie and then everything's just going to change.
Yeah,
like that.
The Nicolas Cage movie Bad Lieutenant. I swear to God, there's like a scene 3/4 through the movie where every single problem that Nick Cage is having just gets solved within 2 minutes. And I'm thinking, who wrote this fucking garbage? This movie's terrible. Who wrote this? Remy, thank you for the subscription. All of these stories are serious. I want the dramatic ones told by small-brained children. I'm sure we'll get to those. Bacon Crafted Curtain. Want to drive into the sunset? Gotta get a car and gas up.
You gotta make the money to buy the ticket.
That's true. If you want to win the lottery, you have to make the money to buy the ticket. It's fucking true. Basically, just don't get your hopes up.
That's probably the biggest part of it.
I think be your own hope. Don't rely on others. Don't expect your parents to fucking come through when they've been shitty people their whole lives. Just be better in spite of them.
We should have told our friend in high school that. Be your own hope. He was the only one that didn't get it.
You won't win the lottery ever. It's just an expression, original name. It's just an expression from a Jake Gyllenhaal movie. Cy died? Oh no, but the name of his second channel is called Cy Live. He's gonna have to change it. No, it's Cy Live. Oh, I was mispronouncing that.
Oops.
Do you guys have any other advice for Sad Boy other than join the army? USS Liberty? Rest in peace, Brandon Ocampo. You can be a big fish in a small pond and live a great life too. You can carve out something good for yourself, but you have to be smart about money and bad habits. Go on a talk show? That's not good advice, Miko. Which Jake Gyllenhaal movie? That is from Nightcrawler, one of me and Biggs' favorite films of all time. If you have not seen Nightcrawler, I think it's on Netflix, right?
I think they might have taken it off, actually.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a great movie.
It was on there for a while, and then it
It's
just
a great
disappeared.
movie. Red Moth says, read The Triflers. I concur. That's great advice.
No, they need to watch Enemy first.
No. No. You can skip Enemy. You don't have to see that one.
Somebody I forced to watch, literally they only refer to it as the Yellow movie now, because like they got done watching
Not the
it.
Spider movie?
Yeah, they got done watching it, and I'm like, so do you notice how the whole movie had a yellow tint? And they literally had me like fast forward through, and like, how did I not notice this? The whole movie is yellow.
Was it an Endless Jess video?
Oh.
His videos are famously not yellow, though, so I don't know why I would even say that.
I don't even get the reference. So.
He films his videos in his mom's basement, so it's like disgusting basement lights, so everything has like a yellow tone to it.
Yeah.
And if you call him out on it, he'll freak the fuck out. And like in the middle of a PCP podcast, they called him out on it. He screamed at them for 10 minutes and then left the call. So he does not like that. Don't say it to him. It's rude.
Just get some daylight 60-watt light bulbs. You'll be good.
Yeah. Plot twist, the person who wrote the story was Todd Phillips. Whoa! That is a plot twist. Is that what inspired him to write Joker? Hey, do you watch the Murray Franklin show? Am I right? Am I funny? Is this funny? God, tell me I'm funny. Okay.
That's pretty funny.
Anyway, next story. I'm scared that how I feel and how I've acted in the past will greatly affect my future, as in job prospects and relationships with friends and family. I keep telling myself not to fall in love with the idea of being depressed. Depression is not a friend I can fall back on. When I was 16, I'd get home from school and put a plastic bag over my head. I'd always try and count to 60 with it on me. I never even got close to that number. After about the 10th exhale, you can feel something change as your body suddenly decides it's in danger. Ripping a plastic bag off your head is as unceremonious as it sounds. There's no sense of relief knowing that you failed to die yet again. It became a routine to do this over and over. My parents were never in on weekdays, so without fail I'd do this after every school day for over a year. I didn't hate school, I didn't hate my classmates, I didn't hate anyone. It was the loneliness that really hurt me. Even while talking to classmates and teachers, I'd still feel disconnected from them. It was as if I was inside my own head while someone else was using my mouth to talk to them. I hated it. Teachers know when something's wrong. I'd get questioned quite a lot by them. I'd always default to the I'm fine and everything is okay lines. At some point last year, I stopped trying to kill myself every day, if you can even call what I did an attempt. I was still just as alone and depressed even though I wasn't actively trying to die. I thought about it every single day. No one has any idea what happens in my head because I don't tell anyone and I never will. I graduated high school 5 months ago. No one at that high school will remember my name in a few years' time. I'm currently 18. I work at a health insurance company doing data entry. I hate it. I miss suicidal 16-year-old me. At 16, you talk to people every day. You're practically forced into socializing. I live alone now in a ridiculously small studio apartment about 120 kilometers away from anybody I've ever known. Every now and then I look through my contacts. I haven't talked to my mom in 2 months. She messages me every day. I feel truly selfish for my decision to leave everything. I gave my depression a location. You're depressed because of this town. I couldn't have been more wrong. In recent weeks, I've begun daydreaming. The line between dreams and reality is becoming really vague. I think that I'm wearing a hazmat suit. I think I'm protected because of it. I feel the suit around my body. I know why people look at me. It's because of the hazmat suit. I know why people ask me if I'm okay. It's because of the hazmat suit. I know it's ridiculous, but I can't help but feel warm and safe when this hazmat suit is on me. It truly makes me feel less alone, like the suit is a friend that has my back. That brings you up to now. I'm sat here in my suit, and even though it may not seem like it, this is the best I've been doing in years. The loneliness still makes me cry at night, but at least in the day I'm protected. From Sam. Okay, did I miss something? Is the hazmat suit, did he say that was symbolic of his depression? Okay, he says, I think I'm wearing a hazmat suit. Okay, it wasn't literal. Okay. Because that'd be kind of weird. Lawanda, thank you for the bits. Seeing Biggs randomly crack a smile during these stories is gold. I assume it's because he's reading something funny in the chat.
I read Patsy's GF showed up and said, if I knew Biggs was here, I would have got here sooner.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a small sad story to go along with this.
Your hazmat suit doesn't fit anymore because you lost all that weight?
Yeah.
No, that sucks.
So before Mumkey moved back, I was stuck in this endless, just repeating, go to work, you know.
Groundhog Day, IRL.
Come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep. But the thing is, like, I work opposite shifts with, like, almost everyone I know. Oh. So literally, even at work, there would be days where nobody would say anything to me. So it would just be like weeks and weeks of nothing until like one friend would pop up and I'd go hang out with them or something.
On the off chance that you're both free at the same time for once, since you work like the night shift.
It was like super depressing for a long time. And then when he came back, then it was finally like, oh, I have somebody I can go.
Somebody whose schedule is 168 free hours a week.
So I can kind of relate to that with the loneliness aspect, just not literally having nobody to talk to or anything it's a terrible feeling.
I was that way when I first moved here, and I gotta say, Blaze the cat was definitely a big help. It might sound like you're crazy if you literally talk to a cat to feel less lonely, but it's not as crazy as you might think, and it's actually healthy for the cat and your relationship if you talk to them all the time. I would just narrate what I'm doing to Blaze as he followed me around the house with his big, curious eyes. So if I had to give initial advice to this hazmat suit man, I'd say go get yourself a Blaze the cat if you can handle owning a cat. I'm allergic to cats, and I take pills for it because I fucking love Blaze so much. I know get a cat is pretty generic advice, but there's a reason why people say it. It's a step in the right direction if you're trying to deal with potential decades of loneliness. At least you'll have a companion of some kind. Where can I send my story? You can send stories to thedepressionchamber@gmail.com, and there is no word limit. We've had some stories that lasted 2 hours before. It was the whole stream. Lawanda says, me having rats probably stopped me from offing myself my last semester at ISU. Lawanda, hey, if you're thinking of ever offing yourself, you call me, Lawanda. You don't need to call your goddamn rats. I'm right here. Don't pull that shit. We can play Sims 4 all you want.
Well, I remember in high school, a lot of people said you kind of looked like a rat, so.
Me? Yeah. She should. That's why she got them. They reminded her of me. Yeah.
Just call this rat.
Call or visit your mom, get into Discord servers and make online friends. Maybe get a pet like Mumkey. Wait, am I the pet in this situation? If you're miserable with your job, you should attempt to find some better opportunities. People say cats are mean, though. No, they're fucking not. Is Blaze mean?
It depends on how you treat the cat.
Yeah. I've been raising him practically from birth, and it's nature versus nurture, I guess, but Blaze is the cuddliest, nicest boy. The meanest thing he'll do is he likes to, cats like to play pounce and prey, but he's literally playing. He doesn't realize that his little cuts and bites might be annoying. He thinks it's fun, and really they don't hurt after a while. Yeah. Your skin scars over and you can't feel it anymore.
And for the longest time, he would come over to me and let me pet him, but he would never sit on me or anything. It took him leaving for a week and then me cat sitting for him to actually connect. So if you want to connect with someone's cat, just make them leave.
Yeah, or if you live alone with a cat that becomes dependent on you for food, it will literally become brainwashed into loving you. That's how animals work. Luanda says, having something that depended on me was really cute, helped me through depression. I would love to depend on you, Luanda. My address is... I'm just kidding. Actually, people might not know this. Luanda and I did Let's Plays on my old Let's Play channel like 3 years ago. If you guys want to...
I don't even think I knew that.
We played a game called Cat Lateral Damage. Speaking of cats, if anybody can find that on the archive, go check that out.
It was a Meowsterpiece.
It was something. Online friends work really well, but for some reason can be awful for others. Those Let's Plays suck. Patchy's, yeah, from what Patchy tells me, you suck. Hello! Patchy has never said that to me before. We don't really talk. And we also did an episode of Spyro. Thanks for reminding me, Luanda.
Wow, you just do Spyro with everyone that you Let's Play with.
It's my favorite game. Luanda, we went to the same high school together, and if you watch the short film called Snap Crackle Cop, which I think is in my most recent short films compilation on the Simi and Jimmy YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think it is.
She is the villain who is wearing the zebra striped shirt. I used up half of your Spyro lives? Yeah, probably.
He's saying, hey, yo, Mr. White, way more often.
Yeah, you should. Okay, we're about an hour and a half in. Let's do, okay, this is a huge story, so this will probably be the last one. We'll see how long it takes to get through this. What a clever name. Thank you, I Dream of Memes. We pride ourselves on our clever wordplay on the Mumkey and Biggs show, even though this is a different show. Okay, we're all caught up. Probably last story of the night. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that this is going to end up being really long, and to be honest, my life has not been particularly tragic in any way from my estimation, but maybe you or your listeners will get some entertainment from my story. This is going to revolve around three things pretty much exclusively: my perceptions on death, my love life, and art. Well, we really, really love love life stories on this show, so I'm looking forward to this one. I suppose I should state that my point of view and opinions of pretty much every aspect of life has changed so much over the duration of time the story covers. Just for reference, I'm the dude who made this thing, Mumkey, and it's a link to a tweet. I haven't seen this. You sent me some fan art back in January. If you want to see it, it's me as a goat. I'm going to retweet that right now. Okay, cool. If you want to see his painting of me as a goat, go check that shit out.
That's actually really good.
Yeah, how did I never see this until now? I'm glad he sent that to me. Okay, that's retweeted. I guess I'll start from the top. My first realization of the fact I would grow old and die was when I was roughly 3 years old. I remember crying in church the moment I realized this. My mother took me outside, where I proceeded to ask her to make sure I don't grow old. She didn't really do anything but hold me. I suppose that's all you really could do in a situation like that, aside from lying to your child, I guess. Well, when you're 3, I think your parents should always lie to you all the time, because you will literally forget about it. Because 3-year-olds are not even human yet.
Well, what are they?
You're not human until you have like
sentience,
like self-awareness, and are able to do like basic math. You're not a human, so.
Yeah, I guess
you concur.
That.
Yeah. A 3-year-old is not a fucking human. You can lie to them. It doesn't matter. Over my youth, I continued to believe in Judeo-Christian conceptualization of God, not really questioning it. In fact, I was quite the zealot from a young age. Did our music end? Continue that music, please. I was quite the zealot from a young age and for the majority of my youth. I would attribute that to the sect of Christianity I was raised under. In some circles, the group I was part of is considered a cult. And after experiencing trying to leave it, I tend to agree with that sentiment. I'm pretty sure you've heard of it, but the religious organization I was raised in is known as Jehovah's Witnesses. This religion pushes a pretty strong us versus them narrative, describing those who are not part of the religion as worldly people who will be destroyed in Armageddon, which in their opinion is just around the corner. There's a lot more to all the strange things associated with Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'll spare you from a long-winded description. What this ultimately caused in my life is that I separated myself from my peers in elementary school, middle school, and most of high school. I did this because I was raised to believe that they were all evil people condemned to death, and that I should not associate with them if I wanted to live forever after Armageddon. Eventually, in elementary school, I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety disorder, and OCD. The OCD was brought to attention of my mother because of strange door-jangling rituals, hand-washing rituals, repeating the same prayer for hours until it felt right, among other things. The anxiety and depression could be seen in my behavior at the time. Like, why else would a 5-year-old in a middle-class family be despondent, or telling their mother to hide the knives out of fear of self-harm? I don't know where I should put this, but I guess it's worth noting that I was a fat fuck from around 3rd grade until junior year of high school. As I reached middle school, I was eventually in a situation where I had 0 friends. In fact, I used to play marbles with the special ed kids, but even they did not want anything to do with me. What do you mean, even they? I guess along with the whole religion fucking how I viewed people, I failed to develop meaningful social skills or something. I remember these 2 kids pretended to be my friends, and at the time I thought they were, but I was quite literally only there for them to periodically kick me in the groin, laugh at me, and eventually move on. I'm not really sure why I allowed this to happen to myself, outside of just having a low self-esteem, I guess. Something else happened in middle school as well. I started to have sexual urges. Along with this was my introduction to masturbation. I'm getting flashbacks to Elliot Rodger's manifesto. I remember the first time this happened. I quite literally was looking at a sexually attractive anime elf girl on a computer when suddenly my penis started contracting on its own, eventually soiling my pants in the sticky white stuff. Thanks. Eventually, I realized what had happened along with how this fit into the religious framework of Jehovah's Witnesses. I remember having much guilt every time I would masturbate in middle school. Hopefully not inside of the actual middle school building. I assume he meant in this period of his life.
No, in the school.
I've seen it happen before. Why do you think I stopped being a student teacher? The kids couldn't stop jerking off to me. They thought I was too hot. I was disgruntled, disgusted, and other diswords.
Did you have urges to become a band teacher?
Okay. I eventually came clean to my parents about this. In turn, it started a daily discussion where my mother would ask me if I had masturbated that day. What happens if you broke both your arms? Which would lead to disappointment and her telling me that if I did not get control of my sexual urges... What? He answered honestly? Don't tell your mom you're jerking off, dude! That we would have to come clean to the elders over this. The elders in the religious group of Jehovah's Witnesses are essentially a council of old dudes that are tasked with directing the congregation. I legitimately thought that this desire to masturbate would end up costing me my life, as it would make me appear impure in the eyes of God. I tried doing Pavlovian techniques to get myself to associate pain with masturbation. That's gonna fuck you up mentally for a while. I remember mutilating my testicles every time I would masturbate as punishment. At that point, why are you still masturbating? For giving in to my carnal desires. I don't really know how dangerous this was or how much permanent damage I caused, but what has been done is unchangeable, I guess. Okay. As I proceed through middle school and on through the first 2 years of high school, I continued to not question this religion. I continued to have a few bouts of depression. I continued to be a fat piece of shit, and I had a few crushes. Of course, since these people I had crushes on would have been classified as worldly people, I did not let feelings for them to grow inside myself, since such thoughts could have costed me my life in the eyes of God. I was introduced to the internet at a young age, but did not start using it for anything aside from flash games until middle school. I eventually ran into the atheist community on the internet around sophomore year of high school, but was too afraid to really dig into it at the time. This was around the same time I dropped from 250 pounds to 150 pounds. When I entered junior year of high school, I enrolled into a programming class. I was introduced to my first atheist at the time. I remember us having long questions on lots of topics. I cringe at the various responses I would give to some of the questions he would ask me at the time. We became friends for the next 2 years. During this time, I started to agonize over my beliefs for the first time. All this stress over death being the ultimate end of existence eventually led to me cracking and getting another label thrown on the heap other shrinks gave me. What happened is described as depersonalization. I guess this is a common phenomenon for people to have. It is essentially where you feel like you don't have direct control over your body. Your senses feel dulled, and you feel like the world is less responsive. It would cause me to essentially shut down for weeks to a month on end, where all I could do was lay in my bed trapped in my own head. I did not understand what was happening to me at the time. I was pretty much convinced that I was becoming retarded or something at the time. Along with this stuff occurring at the time, I was introduced to the group of friends that I continue to have to this day. I feel so fortunate to have them in my life. Among this group is my brother, who has been more of a father figure to me than my father ever was. Hey, I bet my brother Patchy could say that. You know what I'm saying? Hey. What I'm saying is my brother Patchy calls me daddy. Been trying to make him stop doing that.
Where do you think that came from?
And he calls Patchy's GF mommy. It's just weird. And he forgot to bring me a Coke last night too. He's got lots of weird shit going on.
Patchy's GF said, "Say psych right now."
I'm gonna ban you from the chat. Hold up. Okay, where did I leave off at? Junior year came and went as a giant clusterfuck. Senior year was a much more smooth year for myself. I started to find something I wanted to pursue in life. I was introduced to the world of concept art through a game design class I took. My mother was supportive of this endeavor, but I had yet to really know how to actually get anywhere near achieving this goal. I worked several jobs in high school between semesters centered around propane truck maintenance. I eventually realized I should probably think about how I was going to go from odd jobs such as that and toward a career in art and design. So I ended up signing up at the local community college to study art. I didn't really know what I was doing, and eventually, somewhere along the line of a degree, I realized that I had sort of put too much faith in the educational system to get me where I needed to go. That being said, I'm in my last semester of a degree in art currently. This is quite literally only because I got a completely free ride because I was half brown or something. I live in California. You could probably see that for a little while, I almost completely dropped the whole worrying about death and the existence of God for senior year of high school. I think I was just so preoccupied at the time with shit happening that I kind of just forgot about it at the time. Around this time, I signed up to move into a Chinese-speaking congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. This will become important really soon. Okay, so this is where the girl comes in. Every summer in my area, the various congregations come together and have a convention. It's essentially a group of several thousand Jehovah's Witnesses coming to listen to speakers give sermons. During the intermission of the convention that occurred the summer I finished high school, my brother met a girl who both of us added on Steam. I remember telling my... Oh, she's a gamer girl, Biggs.
Uh-oh.
What a rare breed. I remember telling myself that I liked her, but that she obviously liked my brother. Yeah, well... My brother knows how that is. I had to convince Patchy's GF, no, go for Patchy. I've got better fish to fry. She's gonna freak out on that one. I gotta see what her reply is to that one. Say psych right now, motherfucker. Did you have it?
Hashtag exposed.
Are we both out of drinks? Because I could.
Do you want a refill?
I'm really parched. Well, I mean, I'm drinking coffee. I don't need a refill.
I can get you a refill.
Patchy's GF said sorry, I wasn't listening. God damn it. Now we're almost done. I'll be fine.
Brother zoned again.
Brother zoned. I remember telling I would remain cordial, but try to kill my feelings as much as possible. This was a failed exercise. Eventually, I was talking to her over Skype every day about random stuff. I eventually added her to the group of friends that I was talking about earlier. This will be important later. I eventually moved into the Chinese-speaking congregation. I quickly realized that this group was in the same building as her congregations, along with being at the same time in the week. This kind of made me fall into the dumb idea that it was fated or something. I remember giving her an autistic confession letter at some point. I was able to find it by digging around on my old Dropbox, so here it is with the name of the girl removed. Hey girl, I'm sorry for telling you this, but I don't want to regret never telling you, and I just can't bear keeping it inside me anymore. I have felt this way for quite a while now, but I did not want to say anything to you about it because I did not want to make you dislike me or become upset from it, though I don't know if I really was able to hide it in the first place. But here it goes. Oh, here it goes. You know what that's from? No, that's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. I'm going for Keenan and Kel over here. Keenan and Kel are gonna say Kel and Keenan, but you gotta watch Keenan because Keenan be scheming with a plan or a plot.
Copy striked.
Shit, not again. But here it goes. I've noticed since I met you, I've started feeling emotions I've never felt before in my life that I cannot properly explain. The more I talk to you, the stronger these emotions become. I get a rush of excitement when I get to speak with you, and I feel joy whenever you do anything that affects me in any way. I've noticed that as I live my life, I try to think of things that I can talk to you about so I can hear your opinion on it. I'm sorry, but I have this overbearing desire to talk to you all the time and to get to know you more. I've come to really enjoy your company. I love your personality and I think you are adorable. I'm sorry for telling you this, but at the very least, I like you. I don't expect you to feel the same way. In fact, I'm expecting and prepared for you to not want to speak to me or be weirded out by this. I don't fully understand your situation spiritually or emotionally. I don't even know if you are in a relationship already. You would have thought that would come up on their daily Skype calls, but okay. This is as honest I can be with you. I really like you as a person. Well, you got persons owned. And I hope someday our friendship becomes something more. She gave me the old, I like you a lot, but I'm not ready right now.
Uh-oh. The right now.
Let me guess, she started dating somebody else the week after.
She threw out the hook and got him with the right now.
Me being fucking dumb, I thought I could win her over by forcing myself in her mind by staying present in her life. I remember this limbo state existing for a few months, where feelings started to grow between us, but we never were officially together at any point. She did, however, on the first day of December in 2014, tell me that this would never work and that we should stop trying to make something happen between us going forward. Obviously, I consoled her and told her that I would always be her friend. Of course, I still delusionally held on to hope that all I would have to do is be good enough, and maybe she would change her mind eventually. I was torn up over this for a long while. I guess you could say I never really got over it. The desire to be with her consumed me from the tail end of 2014 through 2015, but much less distinct bouts from 2016 to 2018. From that December of 2014 to sometime in late 2015, I stayed in close contact with her, still messaging her pretty regularly. Obviously, it hurt that she was not with me, and I would have various bouts of false hope. I had all the first love bullshit constantly flinging around in my mind at this time. One thing I did at this point was I got a job working at a car dealership so that I would have a stable income. I did this not because I had to, nor do I think it was the best use of my time, but rather I thought it would make me appeal to her. Near late 2015, I remember the last time I got a false sense of hope. She invited me to her place to meet her parents and her two brothers. I honestly had a great time. I was just so happy to be with her, and I thought I was actually making some progress or something. I remember her, me, and her siblings playing Counter-Strike, as well as, of all things that we could have done, her brothers and I went on a run for like half an hour. One of the main things that gave me a false sense of hope was what her older brother said to me. He said to me that I should consider this my initiation to the family. Like, how on earth else am I supposed to take that? I could go into the minutia of this whole thing, but I probably won't. But along with this whole thing, I did something dumb. Not really affecting anything, but making a pain in the ass I would have to deal with later. Her younger brother complained about not having a computer that was fast enough to play Guild Wars 2. I just remembered that this game will be important later. So I offered on the spot to give him a bunch of computer parts to build him a computer. Keep in mind, though, that I only had one computer with good parts in it. I proceeded to drive home, dismantle my computer, drive back, and give him the parts. This, along with a drawing tablet I gave her earlier, comes out to a little over $2,000 worth of computer shit I just gave away in hopes that it would make her like me more. 2 weeks after this, I was let in on something that kind of fucked me. So, she, my friends, and I had been playing Guild Wars 2 together ever since I added her into the friend group. I bet you can guess where this is leading. Oh no. I was never interested in the game itself. I just played it because she played it a shit ton, so eventually I stopped playing that game, but naturally, she continued to play it with my friends. I guess she bonded with one of my friends over this and came to like him. This eventually led to me getting cucked. Buddy, listen, it's not getting cucked if she's not into you.
Right.
That's not what cucking
You never
is.
had her.
Yeah, you didn't own the bitch. I guess the time scale is what made this fucky. The time span between me being over at her place and her getting with my friend was roughly a week apart. So I would assume she had feelings for him while I was at her house being introduced to her family and all that nonsense. In hindsight, it makes more sense to me what was going on, but at the time I was looking at these events and how humans work with the perspective of a naive conservative Christian. I grew sad, angry, and bitter over this. I remember confronting her over this and saying some pretty ugly things to her, and then proceeding to block her on all social media. I then proceeded to block all my friends on social media. I believe that they all kept this from me, not to protect me, but for some other reason. Currently, I can't really remember the thought process I had that led me to block everyone, so for a couple months, I mostly looked up relationship nonsense between classes and work. This searching eventually led me to places like R9K and early MGTOW groups. I sort of took all their rhetoric hook, line, and sinker at the time. I sort of became the type of person you would think of being on there when it came to what I thought about humanity, women, and relationships. Eventually, I joined my friends again and made amends with the friend who cucked me. It's honestly, today, between him and I, like nothing happened. Along with all this going on, I felt the whole questions about existence coming back into view for myself. As I became less and less fixated on her, I came to realize less and less I actually believed any of the religious beliefs I was raised with. I decided to remain silent on it, though, simply because Jehovah's Witnesses tend to ostracize those who decide to not practice the religion any longer. And given I was still going to college and my job wasn't that great, I found it easier to just stay in the religion, do all the rituals involved, and so on. At some point in November of 2015, my coworker, who I had grown fond of, up and died on me. What? Literally died? Or just, well, I hope that was like a metaphor.
Probably not. It doesn't seem
Up and
like
died on me? I remember coming to work the next day and just falling apart. After this happened, I started to think about if this is all I had to look forward to in my life, was a brief toiling for some random company and eventually being cast aside for the next to take my place once I gave out. This got me to refocus on what I was doing with my life. Needless to say, with all the bullshit I had been distracted with, I had not really been giving the whole making an art career thing a good shake. I was just sort of going through school at community college, doing the work for the classes and not much else. I decided to make a goal to transfer to one of the more competitive art schools geared towards entertainment design. The one I settled on was Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California. My mother was supportive of this at the time, so I quit my job and started to autistically practice for 14 hours every day for the duration of a year in order to create a portfolio that would get me in there. During this time, I started to post on IC, the artwork critique board on 4chan. I made some friends through there and got quite a bit of helpful and some not so helpful criticism. I became stressed over the whole art school thing as I didn't have the money for something like this, and of course I ran into a gorillion videos on how college is bullshit and all that stuff. What eventually happened was the same issue I had in junior year of high school came up again. I started to have depersonalization episodes. But this time, they would last far longer. The longest one was 3 months. This, of course, caused me to question if I could even handle stress, period, and if I would even be able to do the work necessary to become good enough to become a concept artist after graduating from Art Center. I eventually decided to call off transferring. This was after I had been accepted to the school. After this, I eventually transferred to the local state university, continuing to major in art. I know I made this decision completely out of fear, but I guess that's how I make the majority of my decisions. Throughout my time at this state university, I continued to practice at a similar pace as I did to prepare for that portfolio thing. Over time, I started to realize how little schools have an effect on the progress of an artist developing in comparison to the plethora of methods of achieving the same thing given the current democratization of information. I guess I can say I made far greater strides as an artist by torrenting lectures from living masters, reading books on technique, receiving meaningful criticism from peers I respect, and applying what I had learned to my workflow than I did by taking any college class. There have been so many times I just thought about quitting this whole degree thing, but I always came back to two things. I'm literally accruing zero debt from this, and the other pathetic thing keeping me going was that I knew that the girl from earlier went to this same school. So I always hoped to somehow run into her eventually at random for some dumb reason. She was in the graphic design track there, and needless to say, I never did and have not seen her there ever. The only reason I knew that she went there was because I periodically stalked the only social media I hadn't blocked her on, which was Tumblr. One thing of significance of this block of time, from when I initially set out to get good at art until now, was the fact that I did this with autistic fervor. What this caused was several things. I completely neglected any of my friends and only went outside to go to class or to run. So essentially, from 2016 to now, I lived a life with no in-person social interactions aside from my mother and brother. Because obviously, I was too socially inept to actually talk to anyone at school, and it also didn't help that I was constantly preoccupied with practicing no matter where I was or what I was doing. During this time, I pretty much got into a loop as follows. Wake up, shit, lift weights, eat the daily calories I need to function, practice, run, go to sleep. I'm skipping a lot of the minor breakdowns and whatnot, but I think that most of these were from how much time I was left with my own thoughts. The unnecessary stress of constantly worrying if all this effort was going to be for nothing if I never became good enough, combined with all the time I spent mulling over essential nonsense would periodically get to me. One thing I spent a lot of time doing was listening to podcasts for the whole parasocial relationship electric boogaloo thing, along with public domain audiobooks. It was in this block of time that I ran into your stuff and rapidly burned through listening to all of your videos on all your channels. I still remember listening to all the Is It Kino podcast to help me fall asleep. Well, thanks. I'm glad our show was boring enough it helped you fucking fall asleep. Fall asleep by staving off my own thoughts. Another thing that further defined this time span for me, from 2016 till now, of me trying to get gooder at art, was trying to leave the religion I was raised in. This was actually initially started by what for most people I would assume would be seen as a completely harmless event. My older brother started to date a worldly person. He kept it hidden for quite a while, but eventually my mother found out about it, and by extension, my father. With the input from the elders in the congregation, my father gave my brother an ultimatum of either leaving the girl or being disowned by him. From the time my mother found out my brother was seeing a worldly woman to the point my father stated this, my mother had made a change of heart. This was mainly from seeing the mechanisms in the congregation working to squeeze her and my father into removing my brother from the family. My father went along with the organization and proceeded to use any means necessary to coerce my brother and mother and I into submission. I had always been afraid of my father, but at some point I came to fear for my brothers, and my life. There was so many fights during this time. And keep in mind, all I was trying to do at this point was get good at art. There's so many strange things that have happened in recent time, from about mid-2017 till now. Like, I'm talking this 1984 type shit. Like people coming to our house to get confessions from my mother, brother, and I, to random Jehovah's Witnesses that I used to see as close friends, literally dropping their shit and running away from us in public, to these same people taking photos of us in our local area looking for evidence of wrongdoing. And why were they doing all this? It is just the dogma of this dumbass religion. It's such a waste of time and life. Like, Jesus Christ, why the fuck do a bunch of old retired dudes care what a couple of nobodies think? I guess this brings this story to today. My brother is still with the same girl. I only hope the best for them. I'm trying to spend more time with them, my mother and my friends. They all mean the world to me, but I always feel like such a shitty friend, brother and son, because of how distant I seem. I'm still practicing art a shit ton, and I'm finishing up this degree. Was this the guy that sent the goat picture of me at the very beginning?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that was some good fucking art. He must have been practicing for real. That was great. Anyway, my parents eventually got divorced recently over the whole religion thing. I haven't spoken to my father since then, and I don't plan to. I can't really say I hate him for several reasons. I was never really close to him. I mostly felt fear from him the majority of my childhood. I find it also difficult to drum up hatred within myself anymore, period, simply because it seems pretty obvious that we as humans don't really have free will. Our consciousness is driven by so many parameters, such as our environment and our biology, that it seems that the cause of any action with enough research can be traced back through the threads of causality to even before any of us existed. I guess this thinking has permeated every aspect of how I view life, which includes love. I stopped going on R9K sometime in 2017, and even though some of what they have to say may be true, I don't really think they have a clear picture of how humans work. I don't think I have the whole truth on understanding humans myself, but I feel that all of us are just thrust into existence with a random draw of what biology gives us, and we're forced to deal with what we got. Life isn't fair, and it all ends the same whether you're a slave or a king. Life seems to be fundamentally tragic for everyone eventually, so it doesn't really matter if you have more resources or if you're a Chad or whatever the fuck. Everyone has the same basic needs and desires, and I just wish that we could all get along, I guess. At this point, I think I'm trying to get into the business side of doing art commissions, doing art shows locally every so often, and working a job to pay the bills. I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I wouldn't say my life is particularly difficult. I enjoy what I do, but I am constantly reminded that it is all for nothing and that everyone I know and love will soon be forgotten to the passing sea of time. I try to not think about it, but it just hurts so much. I know we all must carry this burden in life, but knowing that we're all facing the same end together does not bring me comfort. As for relationships, I have zero idea what the fuck to make of that. I'm a 23-year-old virgin who has 0 female friends, and I don't even know if I even want to be in a relationship ever. I get lonely periodically, but I don't know if it's worth the time investment, along with the fear of rejection that I've been able to avoid for so long. Along with knowing that if I add another person into my life, that this is just another person I will have to eventually say goodbye to forever. I hope you or your listeners got a kick out of my story. Like I said, I don't know how Depression Chamber is. I don't think my life has been all that bad aside from the whole being born to eventually die nonsense, which we all have to face anyway. Well, that went on for about half an hour.
So anyways.
Are people pretending to delete their own messages now? Joseph Mother deleted, message deleted, stupidity deleted, imagine message deleted.
Deleted.
What did that start from? Was it something to?
I didn't catch the beginning of it. I think somebody's message actually got deleted, and then
By who?
I don't know.
We're gonna have to go to knowyourmeme.com to find out what the hell they're talking about in the chat. That was a bit long for a copy pasta. Yeah. Well, Biggs, my very first thought is, what are your thoughts on do humans have control? The whole
free will argument.
Yeah. I'm not on board with what he's putting out there. What do you think?
What do you think?
I believe in free will 1,000%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well.
I don't believe in predestined crap like that.
Oh, no.
At all.
Whether I punch you in the face right now could be determined by a coin flip. You tell me I don't have free will, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can flip a coin and decide if I punch you or not. Patchy's GF deleted someone's message and that kicked it off. Well, looks like we have to delete Patchy's GF. This message was deleted by the government of the People's Popular Republic of China.
I think you got a few more subs if you scroll up a little bit.
I could scroll up to see subs? Where?
Yeah, they popped up in chat. You'd have to scroll up in chat.
Okay.
Well,
I can't scroll up that high. There's got to be a way that Twitch... I think Streamlabs will show me new subs. Subscriber history. Hey, thank you to Oween, Skyass69, Remy. I Dream of Memes, Nintendo... Wait. Yeah, these are all accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nintendo, Archangel of Life, all those. We already read some of those. Chat, what do you guys think? Do you have free will? Do you guys have free will in chat? Press 1 if you have free will.
Press 2 if you're an NPC.
Yeah, press 2 if you're Quentin reviews. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 5, 2, 6. The people who are posting 6 and 3, they have lots of free will. They do whatever the fuck they want. There's no predestiny there. Well, even Lawanda the mod got her message deleted. Wow.
Oh, we'll never know what she is.
We never will.
She's probably an NPC.
I don't remember what 1 means. I think it means you have free will. Well, Patchy is bragging that he illegally downloaded Pokemon Sword and Shield, and he's already on the 3rd gym. And great. I just beat the 3rd gym in this game. It's just like all the others. Internet is just crybabies. Most of the internet has not played it yet, Patchy. I'm programmed to be unpredictable. That's just fucking stupid. Okay, boomer.
Uh-oh.
What?
Used hard R.
Oh, shit. Well, we have to delete this stream.
Canceled again.
All right, folks. I think those are all the stories. Oh, my God. I said okay, boomer, and fucking okay, Google went crazy again.
Every time.
I think that's all the stories we're covering tonight. We went on for about 2 hours. If you missed any of it, the VOD should stay up and you can see all the ones you missed. And I plan on being back here every single Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time to plow through these stories. If you would like to submit your story to the Depression Chamber, just email them to thedepressionchamber@gmail.com. Just don't expect it to be read anytime soon because I'm reading them in the order that they came in. So first come, first serve. You should have watched the video where I announced the series like a week and a half ago. If you want to follow Biggs on social media, where can they find you, Biggs?
Twitter, my handle is @Bigsington. Snapchat is Bigsington. I think that's really all I have right now. I have a Twitch, but I don't use it, so there's no point there.
When you eventually start using Twitch, what kind of stuff can we expect to see?
Probably like, Modern Warfare and maybe like Dark Souls and stuff. Basically everything Wings does.
Oh my God.
So maybe I am Wings.
All the donations he gets will be going towards his future surgery in Mexico.
Come on, guys. I need it so bad.
I want it so fucking bad. If you like the stuff I do, you can find me on Twitter at SimeonJimmy. You can support me financially at patreon.com/Mumkey. And my YouTube is also SimeonJimmy.
Thanks, Patchy's GF.
She sent a picture of you with the glasses flare. Great. Well, let's just hold up her phone number to the camera so they can all give her a call.
Oh, that was on Twitter.
Spoilers alert, dude.
I'm not privileged enough to have her phone number.
I chose not to get it. Do not care. Patchy GF says, no, God, please. If these people hate her for deleting a message, what will they do if they have her number? Everybody
She knows I got it on Twitter. Why don't you say look
now,
out,
don't
please?
worry,